Greetings. Welcome to another broadcast of I Have a Testimony. I'm your brother, Brother Willie Muhammad.
God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us.
He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.
Thank you. Today we have with us a special guest. He's one of the promising youth in our nation. This young brother's demeanor is what caught my attention some years ago as I watched him work with the security detail for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. If you've been tuned into the weekly National Sunday broadcast, you may have heard our brother speak. He's a part of the student ministry class there at Chicago at Mosque Mariam. And our guest today is our brother Jair Muhammad.
Says in the 14th chapter of the Holy Quran that Allah made subservient to man the sun, the moon, the stars, the river, the sea by his command. The definition of the word subservient is prepared to obey others unquestionably. So that is why the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that the least human being is greater than the sun. You made Brother Jair, the minister, said that the least human being is greater than the sun. I'm going to say that again. He said that the least human being is greater than the sun. He didn't say the scholars, the scientists, the doctors, the lawyers, those that may be the richest or most wealthy. He said that the least human being, the one that believes that he or she is nothing, or he or she has no power on this planet. He said that the least of us is greater than the sun because the sun can only do what God created it to do. But the human being, Allah created the human being with more because he gave the human being something that he never gave any of his creations. He gave us the free will to choose, and then he offers us.
Assalamu alaikum, dear brother. Thank you for accepting our invitation to be a guest on the show.
Yes, sir. Wa alaikum salam.
We appreciate it. So let's get right to the work, man. You know, one of the things that captured my attention about you, my brother, was your gaze. I saw you on posts, and I reached out to Brother Abdul Kiyan, like, man, what is this young brother's name, man? And just the look that you had, and it just was like, yo, our future in the Nation of Islam is good if we continue to keep producing young brothers and sisters like this. So my first question to you is, you know, how has that experience been to have the opportunity to work as a part of the security detail for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan?
Well, first and foremost, Brother Willie, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I want to first start off by thanking you, Brother Willie, for thinking of your little brother enough to think of me to have on your great show. I mean, you've had so many amazing people on this show, and to think of your little brother to be a part of this great show, I mean, it's truly an honor and a privilege, and I want to say thank you to you. To answer your question, I mean, it's surreal, you know, because knowing who the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is and how important he is, to be able to give your life or be willing to give your life to secure a man like that, I mean, it's a great honor and a great privilege, and I never took it for granted. You know, being around the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I've been blessed to travel with him, you know, around the country. Wherever he went, I tried my best to be there. If I didn't have some money, I tried to get some money. If I didn't have some money, I tried to borrow from my dad, or my pops to look out for me. He may buy me a plane ticket, and I'll be rooming with some brothers. But it didn't matter where the minister was, I tried my best to be there. So to answer your question, man, it's wonderful, man, to be able to be willing to give your life for the man who has given his life for us. There's no greater honor and no greater joy than to be able to do that.
Praise be to Allah. Now, in addition to that, you have the opportunity also of working in that capacity with your father, who's also a member of the security detail. And this is a two-part question. One, growing up, how did it feel to see your father secure the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan?
You know, growing up, it was different. It was difficult for me because I never understood the importance of what my dad was doing. You know, me being young, I just know my dad's gone for weeks, months at a time. I didn't know I didn't know how long he was going to be back. I didn't know if Allah was going to bless him to come back, but I knew he was going to do a work for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So me and my siblings, you know, we would cry because we didn't know we didn't know when he was going to be back. We just knew dad was gone, and at a certain amount of time, the more and more he left, and the more he was doing that work, me and my siblings began to become numb to him being gone. And so as I grew up and I started to become registered, I started to understand how important what he does and how important it really is. And so now, me being in the position that I am now and having the knowledge that I have of who the minister is and the importance of who he is, I mean, as a son, I'm so proud of my dad, and I'm so honored to be his son, because this is a man who has traveled with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan since he was about, I believe 19 years old. 19 years old, around that. So around my age. So to be with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for this long and traveled all around the world, I mean, sometimes it's crazy for me to think about, you know, and the things that the minister has said about my father. And it's a blessing to be in that proximity to the minister because of my father. And so I don't take it for granted.
Yes, sir. Since we're talking about your father, you know, what are some of the valuable lessons that your father has taught you?
Man, that's a long list. But my father, oftentimes, like, he's my biggest critic, but he's also my biggest fan. And so my father, he's always teaching me about principles and being right and standing on truth, regardless to whom or what. And my father's biggest thing is just being yourself. My father always told me, he said that nobody can be a better you than you. And so he encourages me to just be myself. Like the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, accept your own and be yourself. And my father is big on that. And he wants me to just, he encourages me to do what Allah has for me to do, if that makes sense. Like, my father's not one to force me to do something just because he wants it to be done. He trusts that Allah is going to guide me in the path that Allah wants me to go. And my father doesn't interfere with that. So he just says, be myself, you know, be genuine, have good character. My father's big on character. So that's just some of the things that my father has taught me, but it's just a lot of life experiences that my father has shared with me that he has went through that I've learned a lot from as well. But character is a really big thing with my father.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, as we open up this show, we showed a clip of you sharing some words from Mosque Mariam during one of the national broadcasts and a part of the pre-program. So how's that
Yes, sir.
experience been, my brother, and what are you learning?
You know, it's to understand that rostrum is the Messiah's rostrum. It makes me nervous every single time. I'm gonna be honest, man. My stomach be in knots because I understand who I'm standing in the presence of. And so I try not to get caught up in the fact that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he watches the Sunday lectures every single Sunday without fail. And so I try not to keep that in my mind, but that's the reality. And so when you're talking to the people of God, as you know, because you're a student minister, but that's the Messiah's rostrum. And so every word has to be precise. And I'm learning so much about myself, and it makes me want to serve that much more, because I understand that our people are in a terrible condition. And so if I have something from the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which is a resurrecting truth, if I can just give that to somebody just a little bit, because I'm not doing a full keynote, but if I could just share a little bit of what I've learned and what I've taken in from the teachings and give it to somebody else, that's our sole purpose, is to deliver the 17 million or more dead to the Lamb of God, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So if I can just share a little bit of that and just do my part, I mean, as long as I'm making Allah proud, that's my biggest thing. If I can die the death of a Muslim, if I can die knowing that Allah is pleased with what I've done, if I can die being known as a servant of God, that's my biggest thing. And so to be able to be on that rostrum, to be able to share what I've learned, I mean, it's I thank Allah so much, and I don't take it for granted. I don't take it for granted.
Do you have aspirations to one day be a student minister over a mosque or over a city?
To answer that question, then I want to jump ahead of the interview, but the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he's given me my assignment already. So to answer that question, yes.
Praise be to Allah. Okay, well, we can't wait to when we get to that part of the interview where you share some more of that. So we're
Yes, sir.
okay. I thought we got a couple of more minutes before we get into that. So you mentioned about
Yes, sir.
you talked about how you're learning so much from being a part of that ministry class. What are some of the additional other things that you've learned about yourself as you have been preparing to speak when you're given opportunity to?
I'm learning the importance of character,
Mm,
and I'm learning the importance of study, like not just reading the Quran, not just reading Message to the Black Man, not just reading the Messenger's books or the Bible, but actually studying. Because to be able to teach us to somebody else, you have to have a certain level of understanding. And so as I'm doing my studying, I'm learning so much more that I wouldn't have learned unless I went back and defined this word and defined what this meant and tie this to this scripture in the Bible, or what a messenger is talking about, a message to the Black man. Oh, if you look at this scripture in the Bible, this ties in with that. And so I'm
mm.
learning so much about the word of God that I wouldn't have learned unless I was really trying to study. And being in the ministry class here in Chicago, after every meeting, we're in the back office with Minister Ishmael, and he's just going over the lecture, but he's also giving us more after the lecture. So it's almost like 2 lectures. And so he's like our supervisor and our teacher over the class in Chicago. And we learn so much from him and just his experiences with the minister. And we're learning different things about the word and different ways to look at it. And so now it's so much that it's kind of hard to explain, if that makes
Yes, sir.
sense.
No, you explained it, my brother, and we thank you for what you shared, and we're looking forward to more that you're going to share throughout this interview. But we're up on our first break, so we're going to pause to hear from some of our sponsors.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Now you can get the same uncompromising truth you've come to expect from the Final Call newspaper on all your connected devices. Subscribe to the Final Call Digital Edition today. Go to subscribe.finalcalldigital.com.
The hashtag Bank Black social media campaign made strides not only in revolutionizing how we bank, but also how we think. The movement inspired thousands of African Americans across the country to transfer or deposit millions of dollars into Black-owned banks. These are banks that will invest in urban communities, employ African Americans, support Black businesses, and inspire Black home ownership. This is a very proud moment for our culture as we are taking small, but significant, steps towards building Black power through Black wealth.
Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at National Network View. I am Anissa Muhammad with nnvnews.com.
We're back, and we're back with our guest, our brother Jair Muhammad, and he shared something about how it feels to be a part of the student ministry and to work with his father as part of the security team for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Brother Jair, this is my next question I would like to ask you. You know, as you are aware, not all of the children who are born to Muslim parents end up becoming active members in the Nation of Islam. What made you decide to not just be a Muslim, but become a registered active Muslim in the Nation of Islam?
Well, it started off for me. You know, I went to MUI. Well, you wouldn't know, but I went to MUI when I was younger, and I became homeschooled. And so once I was in homeschool, you start playing sports and whatnot. And so that's what happens to a lot of youth in the nation. You know, once you start getting into football and the basketball and the baseball, so that becomes your life. Because now when you're playing that type of sport, your goal is to make it to the professional league and whatnot. So I play basketball, and I mean, I absolutely love basketball. That's all I did. That's all I thought about. And at the time, the Nation of Islam was really pushed to the back of my mind. It was like just basketball, basketball, basketball. And I believe that this was all in Allah's plan, because nothing happens without Allah's permission. But it seemed like every turn, every coach that I went to, it's like I always had some type of problem that I got from the coaches. I never understood why. It was one coach that I was playing for a high school team, and you know, the coach would ask us about plays, and he would ask us questions, and before he can get the question out of his mouth, I would already be answering the question. And so he thought I was a smart aleck and whatnot, and he would purposely do certain things to me that he wouldn't do to others. He would purposely put me on the bench and allow others to play just because, but he would pay particular attention to me in regards to playing. And so it was always something, and I never understood why. And so that kind of killed my love for basketball, because like, dang, everywhere I turn, it's always something. And so what ended up happening was, once I stopped playing basketball, I began maybe 15, 16. I went to the mosque with my dad. It was a Sunday. My father, he always went to the mosque, but I just happened to go with him this day. And I was sitting there, Minister Ishmael was teaching, and I was so locked in. And I know most of my peers in the nation, when you were younger, when you go to the mosque with your parents, it's like you're not really listening. You're there because your parents made you go. So you'd rather be on your phone or your tablet or whatnot. But I was actually in, and I was locked in, and I was receiving everything he was saying. And it was pretty much the first time while I really was understanding what was being said, and it really touched me differently then. And from that moment, when I went to the mosque with my father, it was like the rest was history. And it's like I was trying to go with my dad every Sunday. I was trying to go to processing class. I was trying to get registered. I mean, everything. And so I was blessed to become a registered member of the Nation of Islam the day I turned 16.
Praise be to Allah.
The day I turned 16.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what advice would you give to other youth who may be stuck in the valley of decision regarding becoming a registered Muslim?
I mean, we're living, as you know, Brother Willie, we're living in a very dark hour where we got to make a choice, whether we're going to side with God or we're going to side with Satan. And so I believe that that's a very important choice that we have to make. And that's a choice that has to be made. And in a way that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, where he wasn't tiptoeing around the truth, he said, follow me and live, reject me and die. And so we're living in that day where we have to make a decision where we're going to follow the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and what he teaches us, or we're not. And I think to my youth, man, it's already in our nature to submit to Allah. But most of us, we are either inclined or we kind of got to pull from the world. And that's the grip of Satan that he has on all of us. And so there are certain things that keep us wanting to do other than what we know is right. And it's something that wants to keep us away from the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad when we know that that's what we're supposed to be. And so I think we just have to take that step in the right direction. And Brother Abdul said it today in his lecture. He said that when Malcolm X was in prison, he said that he had a letter from the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And it said that, brother, if you take one step towards Allah, he will take 2 steps towards you. And so I would say that to the brothers and sisters that are youth that don't really want to take that step and becoming a member of the Nation of Islam or just coming onto your own, but just take 1 step towards Allah and watch Allah take 2 steps towards you. And the more and more you start going towards what's in your nature, the more natural it will come. And I believe that it will happen for you all the way that it happened for me, where I just fell in love just like that, and the rest was history. And like I said earlier in the interview, my father, he never was the one to force me. Like my father knew he knew I was playing sports, and he knew that was my passion. And my father knew that. He told me this. He said at the proper time, he knew that the circumstances would happen to where I would come back. He didn't know how. He didn't know how Allah was going to do it, but he had so much faith in Allah that he didn't have to push it. I don't even think he suggested to me to become registered to come to the mosque. But the way that Allah orchestrated everything, it just happened to happen that way. And so I thank Allah so much for my father and skillfully doing that, because, you know, because many times, and I've spoken to other youth and my peers in the nation, where it feels like their parents are forcing them And it's like when you're forcing somebody to do something, it kind of stops you from wanting to do it. And now we're taught, to make all men and boys join the FOI. Yeah, that's true. But it's a way that you make them do it without forcing them. And so I believe the parents just have to skillfully do it as my father did it by just putting certain people in their lives. My father introduced me to this brother. I'm thinking about this. My dad, man, he be on it, man. He introduced me to this brother. His name is Brother Saad. And Brother Saad, he's from North Carolina. He was heavy in the nation. And he was like, man, just talk to my son real quick. Me and Brother Saad got on the phone. And me and Brother Saad, we just started talking all the time, talking about the teachings. And so me talking to this brother also made me want to study even more. And so now I have a connection with somebody that's in the nation that wants me, that allows me or gives me the desire to want to grow that connection with that brother. And me and Brother Saad been like this, but he's also one of the reasons that I became a member of the Nation of Islam. He was inspiring to me, seeing a young brother like that who looked up to my father. I'm like, damn, my father he is pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to be a part of something like that. I wanted to be a part of that brotherhood, and my dad did it in a way where I believe Allah used him to bring me back onto my own, which I would like to say to the rest of my peers. I believe that if you take one step towards Allah, it would just be like rolling down a mountain. It'd be effortless.
And what advice would you give to parents who have children who have not registered yet?
I'll say don't force them. Like don't beat it. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, if you give someone the teachings all at once, they'll deny it all at once. And so just even if you just spoon feed them some of the teachings, or like my father did, he put certain people in my life that will gradually draw myself towards the Nation of Islam. And it's almost like how when you're driving a ship, right? And you're trying to turn its course, it's not going to make a complete 180 instantly, but it's going to gradually turn and ultimately go back in the direction that you wanted to. The same way that we have to be with our children. You have to gently guide them to the place that you want them to go. So yeah, you're going to make them join, but you're going to do it in a way that's skillful. We don't believe that you're forcing them, but you're supporting them and you're gently guiding them as a parent. So I would just say, just be a good example, be the clean glass, and just be active in their lives. And the more and more you do that, the easier it'll become for them to accept their own. Because like, man, my father, my pops, my mom, man, they really pushing this. Let me just see what it's about. Man, my mom, she's really successful in what it is she's doing, because when you accept the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you get what we were promised by the Savior: money, friendships, and all walks of life, good homes, all of that, luxury, all of that. But that comes when you truly submit yourself to do the will of Allah. So as a parent, man, just being that good example, being someone that your child can be proud to look up to, like, man, that's my dad, man, that's my mom. Look at the recognition that they're getting from other people from just accepting their own and being themselves, which is a righteous Muslim. So I would say just be that good example.
It's good, man. It's good. And how I know, just what would you say, just the assessment of the young brothers and sisters in the ranks today? Are you seeing them having a desire and an aspiration to pick up the mantle and continue to work?
I would say absolutely. I would say it's our time now. Like he said that we're the Joshua generation. And so we're a fearless generation. I know that in the nation, you can even see that this past Savior's Day, how big of a job that you did in putting on certain workshops and certain things like that. And so I believe that we're truly falling in love with the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And that feels good to me, because when people see me, they're like, man, when I look at you, I know that our nation is secure. But it's not just me. And it's so many other youth that are doing so many great things in our nation. And it's beautiful. And so I truly believe that we're coming into our own, and it's our time, because like Joshua did in the Bible, he went to go take the land that was promised to them from the giants, but it was Joshua who did that. And so we have to be fearless, and I believe that we are in this time. So yes, sir, absolutely.
Now, I also saw that you, well, we'll come back and we'll talk some more about this. That time is going by fast, man. But brother, thank you for what you have shared, because trust me, it's very helpful to those who are parents and to the young brothers and the sisters in the nation who were born Muslim. So we're coming up on our next break, and you all stay tuned. We'll be back with our brother Jair Muhammad, who's one of the young brothers in the Nation of Islam. We'll be right back.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps to combat false media. Cash App NNV News.
AsiaticMinds.com online education, helping our children to discover their God-given skills, gifts, talents, and passion that will allow them to see their greatness, as well as the greatness of our people. And upon discovering that greatness, infusing them with the desire to use it for the betterment of themselves, their families, our people, and the world. 2022 through 23 enrollment waiting list open now. Visit AsiaticMinds.com.
Worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
Thank you for tuning in to NNV News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comments section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, National Network View. This is Willie Muhammad with NNVnews.com.
And we're back to continuing this interview with our brother Jair Muhammad. So this is a question I want to ask. I came across this. I think I saw this picture on your IG or your social media, or you sent me this photo. You know, you've been blessed to help with securing the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. However, in addition to that, you have had the opportunity also to meet Mother Khadijah Farrakhan. And here's a picture of you with her. Can you share with some of us? Can you share with us some of your fondest memories with her, and even the context of this picture?
You know, that picture, I think it really gives you a visual, just picture of our relationship. I mean, that Mother Khadijah, man, that's like my grandmother to me. You know, being blessed to grow up around her and the minister. That's always been the relationship that me and her had. You know, she's always giving me guidance, and she always cracking jokes. And that picture, that picture wasn't planned. That's not something where I was like, okay, I'm gonna kiss her on the cheek. I want you to capture this picture. That was just in that moment. I was just inspired to do because of my love for Mother Khadijah. She's such a wonderful woman, and I thank Allah so much for her. And she sacrifices so much. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan would not be who he is today, would not have done all that he has done without Mother Khadijah being right by his side. And so she is the most dedicated woman that I've ever met in my life. And so that's a woman that I can't help but love, you know, that has an unconditional love for the messenger of God. Though, yeah, that's her husband, but you know, it's that type of love and that type of sacrifice and that type of dedication. You can't help but love a woman like that. And so I just thank Allah so much for her.
Praise be to Allah. And you also sent these other photos we have of you and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that we're showing on the screen. We'll hold it there for a few seconds. You know, can you share with us what you remember about this meeting and what was shared with you?
You know, it's a lot of, I mean, it's so many memories that I have with the minister and conversations. And so it's sometimes hard to just pinpoint certain moments like that and what was said. Because like I said, I've traveled, you know, around with the minister, and, you know, we've been in different hotel rooms and different times like that. So it's hard to remember exactly what was said in that. But I just remember him saying, I love you so much. And I believe he said something along the lines of, no, I'm not even gonna try to guess or try to make anything up. I don't remember, but I do remember him saying that. Now, and that picture, before I gave him a hug, I also kissed him on the cheek. I do remember that. And I hugged and he said, "I love you, son." And I said, "I love you too, sir."
Was
But I
that
don't remember.
your first time having that type of interaction with him like that?
No, sir. No, sir.
Just caught him on. He caught
Yeah.
you. They just caught that picture, right?
You know,
And
because
now,
brother Don Enoch, he's always there. So
yes.
he'll be in the back. You won't even see him, and he'll be capturing these pictures. And you know, he'll send it to me when I'm on the plane back from wherever we were. And I'll be looking like, man, what? Not on the plane, but whenever I land, and I'll look at my phone. I'll be like, man, when did he take this picture? But he never failed in capturing those beautiful moments. But no, sir, that's not my first time.
What do you
with
when
a
you go back in, when you just going through your phone on social media and you see those pictures, like, what do you think after seeing them again when you look at them? Like, wow.
I just think about how grateful I am to Allah, to be in a position to be able to be in close proximity to the mouthpiece of God. That's not something that's lightweight. That's not something that should be taken for granted. And I always try to remind myself that I don't want to get too close to the sun that I become blinded. And I understand who he is and the importance of the man that he is and how he is the beloved of God. So it's just to be able to have these different pictures and these different moments with the minister. It's an honor, man. And I, one time, this was for the minister and Mother Khadijah's anniversary. And I put together this booklet, and it was a booklet with just a bunch of pictures with me, the minister, and moms or whatnot. And under the picture, it's what I remember being said at that moment that the picture was taken. And my father, he gave it to the minister, and the minister told my father, he said he just looked at it and he was just smiling the whole time. And he said, "Man, this gift is priceless." He said it was priceless. And at the end of the book, I wrote a little note. And I said, "Brother Minister, correct me if I'm wrong, but I pray to Allah every night that I can become one of the 10 Farrakhans that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said if he had 10 like Farrakhan, he could take the country or take the nation." And I said, "Correct me if I'm wrong." I said, "Because you don't have any equal." I said, "But if I can become like you to help carry this burden that you have been carrying for so long, I want to become that." And the minister saw me and he said, "Son," he said, "the gift was so beautiful." He said, "But the note was that much better."
Wow. And my brother, this the title of this show is "I Have a Testimony," where we try to get people to give their testimony about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, as you have been doing, and also share their own testimony. But this is a question I like to ask people, that if you had the opportunity to stand before the world and testify about the qualities of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, or his charity, his charitable heart, or something, his bravery, like, what would you testify of and why?
I would say, man, the minister, the way that the enemy has painted the picture of the minister to the world. He put all these titles on the minister, and through people looking at these titles, we look at the white man or whatever he says, and we just take it as face value. We don't question it at all, and we take it as the truth. And these devils, man, they say whatever they want about the minister, and our people begin to hate the minister because of what these people are saying about him. But the minister said that when you listen to me, he said that hate that you have for me will slowly start to become love, or start to turn into love. And so I would just talk about just my personal experiences with the minister and the type of man that he is. The same person that you see on that rostrum, the same love, that same dedication, that same spirit that you see when the minister speaks to us, and that love radiating from him. Just that genuine character is not a facade, of something that he puts on to make himself appear something that he's not. That is who he really is at his core. And so when you see him, when he may be in his bedroom, or he may be sitting down having a cup of tea, or he may be talking to some of his guests, he's that same way all the time. And just to be able to allow people to know that this man is a man who has sacrificed his life for people who have been destroyed. I mean, this is a man who has sacrificed everything, his family, his money, like all of that. And it's just like, how could a man like that be hated? A man that he gives his life for us on a day-to-day basis for over 6 decades. Brother Willie, come on. How can you not have a love for that man who has loved you when you didn't even know how to love yourself? And so just being able to give that type of testimony about that man and just in defense of him, because certain stuff the minister should have to defend himself on. He said, do you think that the Nation of Islam is only Louis Farrakhan? Emphatically not. He said, we have stars here. So we that know the truth, we who know the man at his core, should be able to defend what they're saying about him just like that.
Beautiful.
So, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Bring that out.
No, I'm sorry, man. I'm just
no. Listen,
I get so passionate.
That's what we want to bring out. How would you say in regards to how the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan relates to the youth in and outside the nation?
I mean, his love for the youth is unparalleled. I mean, because he knows that we're the generation that's going to take this thing further. And so he wants to deposit so much into us, but we just have to be willing to accept it. I mean, the minister, he's all about the youth. He's all about teaching the youth, training the youth, teaching us how to become leaders, how to lead our people. You know, he's in that business of developing human beings. And so he's transforming human life, that the likes that no other man has done except for his teacher, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So he's taken our young people who may have been in jail, may have done drugs, alcohol, gangbanging, murderers. He's taken the worst of our people and cleaned us up, made us the best human beings, the most civilized. So he's taken the youth that think that they are nothing, that think that they have no place on this earth, and he's taking that person and making him a god among men. Ye all God's children of the Most High God, and he's teaching us that within us is that God, and he's helping us to bring it out.
Wow. And in regards to, you talked about the impact that your father has on you, but also from looking at your pictures, I know that your mother has a great impact on you as well. So,
yes, sir.
You know, can you share some things that you've learned from your mother and her impact on your life?
Brother Willie, I could probably write a book on all the things that I've learned from my mother. Look, she's such a beautiful woman, man. But my mother, she's like, her and my father, man, they're my backbone. And you know, anything I need from anything of guidance, direction, I can always go to my mother and my father. But my mother, my father's the masculine and my mother's the feminine. So I try to get it from both sides. But my mother has taught me, one of the biggest things that I believe that my mother has taught me is how to take a step back and look at the broader spectrum, or the larger scope. Because sometimes we get so tunnel vision that we lose sight of the bigger picture. And so my mom, she always taught me to just think outside the box, look at it from a different perspective or a different angle that everybody else may not think from. And so I take that with me everywhere I go. So something may look like what it is, but it could be something totally different. My mother has taught me so much stuff about my health, my wealth, how to take care of my body, how to take care of my mind. I mean, she's awesome, man. She's like a scientist almost. She is. You know, she studies the body. She studies what things need to go into the body to heal from disease and viruses to where it's gone like that. I mean, I thank a lot so much for my mother. And sometimes I'd be like, I don't know where she learns this stuff from, but just her research and just her passion and her love for those who she loves. It's like she'll do anything for them. And so my mother, she's my auntie, she's dealing with stage 4 cancer. And, you know, my mother, she's been having a difficult time because, you know, that's her baby sister. And, you know, all of the knowledge and the information that she's learned, she's giving it all to her. And slowly but surely, she's starting to get better.
Wow.
So by the grace of Allah, I pray to Allah that Allah gives my mother what she needs to be able to give it to my auntie, to be able to heal her from that. Because normally, once you get to that point of cancer, it's like, okay, we would give you something to just ease the pain, but pretty much that's it. But my mother, she's not taking that for an answer. She's not, and she's never been that way. My mother, it was a brother, his name was Brother Ibani, his son had cancer. And my mother gave his mother certain things to give to her son, and that cancer cleared up. So I'm sorry, but my mother, man.
No, listen,
awesome,
man. Hey, you gotta, but I'm gonna tell you the benefit of that. You gotta think about how many other people in the nation and outside the nation will see this interview, and they may be having help it challenges cancer. Maybe
Right.
cancer may be one of them. And the
Right.
answer to their prayers comes through your testimony. So by all means,
Yeah,
continue to
all
share.
praises
You were
to
saying,
Allah.
so she did what with brother? You said Ibani?
Yes, sir. It's his son.
Mhm.
I don't know exactly what she gave her, but just even the science of foods
Mm,
and carrot juice and things like that to be
mm,
able to heal certain things in the body. I'm talking about certain supplements to be able to fight back those viruses and those diseases to help
mm.
bring those impurities out of you and begin the healing process. And
Wow.
so I'm nowhere near as knowledgeable as my mother in that field. So I'm just trying to give it to you in a way that you can understand without trying to explain it when I don't truly understand myself. But there have been times where once I feel a cold, my mother give me something whether it be apple cider vinegar, right? And grapeseed extract together.
Mm.
Those two things together, we would take it maybe every night. By the next morning, it'll be gone. Or
Wow.
my mother may even with this COVID pestilence from heaven, my family, I don't believe we have COVID, but to protect ourselves, we take iodine. We take the iodine. We take vitamin C. We take ivermectin, like it says in the Final Call newspaper. So we're taking all these things to guard ourselves and to strengthen our immune system to keep us away from the virus. So even if the virus does come near us, our immune system is so strong that it can fight back against that virus or that pestilence from heaven. So I thank Allah
Man.
so much for my mother, man.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah, brother. And thank you for sharing that. And this is why we call I Have a Testimony. You're giving that testimony. So we're coming up on our last break. So we're going to pause to hear some brief announcements from our sponsors, and then we'll be back to have the last portion of our interview with our brother Jair Muhammad.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Individually, we are poor when you compare us with white society in America. We are poor. Collectively, we are richer than all the nations in the world with the exception of 9. That's power right there if we know how to prove it. We begin the process of building a greater economic base. And at the same time, we are putting pressure where it really hurts. We don't have to argue with anybody. We just need to go around to these stores and to these massive industries in our country. Say, God sent us by here to say to you that you're not treating his children right. We come by here to ask you to make the first item on your agenda fair treatment where God's children are concerned. Now, if you're not prepared to do that, we do have an agenda that we must follow. And our agenda calls for withdrawing economic support from you. We mean business now, and we are determined to gain our rightful place in God's world.
AsiaticMinds.com. Online education, helping our children to discover their God-given skills, gifts, talents, and passion that will allow them to see their greatness, as well as the greatness of our people. And upon discovering that greatness, infusing them with the desire to use it for the betterment of themselves, their families, our people, and the world. 2022 through 23 enrollment waiting list open now. Visit AsiaticMinds.com.
Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at National Network View. I am Anissa Muhammad with NNVnews.com.
And we're back, brothers and sisters, with our brother Jair Muhammad, who's been sharing some great testimony, talking about his upbringing in Islam, the impact of his father and mother on his life, also being around Mother Khadijah Farrakhan and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan as well. I saw we had a picture that you were the DI, the drill instructor for the Chicago drill team, right?
Yes, sir.
How was that, man?
Man, it was amazing. First and foremost, it was absolutely amazing. It was a great experience, and I thank Allah for allowing me to go through that. But it was difficult because here it is. When we first won, that was my first year ever drilling, right? And I was my first year being registered. So not only was in my first year being registered in a body of men, but here you were asked to be the DI over those men who have children your age. And so I had to mature faster to be able to handle those men in a way where they can respect me. And so it took time. It took a lot of bumping heads, but by the grace of Allah, the end result was 2 back-to-back championships. So all praise is due to Allah. It was a wonderful experience, and I thank Allah for allowing me to go through that. It was intense, coming up with being creative to come up with those different drill routines that would be both militant and not flashy, but entertaining, because we're displaying military drill in a way that's entertaining. It's a drill competition. You want to see who's the sharpest, the most crisp, but also the most creative, and the way that you're doing your the assessment of the men and the way you all are set up and the salute series that you're doing and all of those different things. And so just coming up with those type of things was a lot, man, but it was awesome. It was a great experience.
And you talked about some of the difficulties that you faced doing that in that pursuit, where it paid off. You all were back-to-back champions.
Yes,
sir. As the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches, how anything of value has a difficulty factor attached to it. So what did you do what methods and strategies did you use, in a sense, to be able to work through those difficulties and remain focused and not quit? Because so many people, we quit when things get real hard. What prevented you from doing that and pushing forward?
Because I know it's bigger than myself. I would say that's probably the biggest thing, because this thing is going to happen with or without any one of us. And not making things personal, though it was difficult. And I knew that at the time that everything of value has a difficulty factor attached to it. So I knew that in this, Allah was preparing me for something. I don't know why I was at 16 being put over men. I don't know why I had to be the drill instructor, the one that was giving the commands to the men. I don't know why Allah put certain brothers in there that would give me a certain level of difficulty and a certain level of opposition. I don't know why. But in that moment, I knew that Allah was preparing me for something later on down the line that I can't even see yet, nor do I understand. But having faith and knowing that it's something in me that Allah is trying to bring out of me. And so that was the biggest thing, and just progressing as a human being, because if you quit, you will never progress. And so we got to go through these things to be able to make it to the other side, to receive what Allah has for us. Like, our ways are not your ways. My thoughts are not your thoughts. Mine are from above while yours are from beneath. So yeah, we may see it like, man, why are we going through this? Allah's like, once you get past this, then you'll reach paradise. Wow. Then you reach a level of enlightenment and a level of growth that you would not have gotten to unless I put you through that trial. And so that was my biggest thing, knowing that, okay, on the other side, Allah has something prepared for me.
Wow. And that's a beautiful lesson to know that, man, because it's a lesson that I wish I would have learned early on in life, that difficulty is really an indication that you're on the right path. And if we stay on it and not give up, we're going to come out stronger and more advanced and learning more about the God within ourselves by the mere fact that we faced that particular difficulty,
Man, yes, sir. And just being around the minister, man, the way he handles difficulty, you rarely hear the minister complain. You rarely hear the minister the minister does not speak idle words. I can say that. Everything the minister says has value attached to it. And his faith in Almighty God Allah is so strong. It's likened unto the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, when he said if he had 10,000 outside of his house, he said his faith in Allah is so strong that he can grab 2 lions by the side and drag them down the street. You know how big 2 lions are, how heavy they are, but to have enough faith in God that he can drag them down the street. Oof. That's the type of faith that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has. And when I just been around him and just see how he handles situations, he handles difficulty, It's almost like his faith in Allah is so strong that whatever Allah puts him through, he knows that Allah is going to get him through to the other side. And that's a conversation I had with the minister recently. I sat down with him. We talked for maybe about 2 hours. And the minister was talking about how he does not know how Allah is going to arrange his departure. He doesn't know how it's going to happen. He doesn't know what Allah is going to allow him to go through. He doesn't know what the enemy is going to do. But he said that his faith in Allah is so strong. He said no matter what happens, he knows that he's in the hands of Allah. He says, as I'm sitting with you right now, he said, I'm in Allah's hands. And so that type of faith and that type of courage and that type of belief, knowing that he's backed by the God, I mean, it doesn't matter. No matter what difficulty may come, he knows that if he keeps his faith and trust in Allah, that he'll make it through safely. No matter what the odds may look, no matter how it may look, he may look like he's losing. It doesn't matter. But he was already promised the victory as we were promised the victory. So we just got to keep our faith in Allah tight, just like he keeps his faith in Allah tight. Because the minister, he's just a perfect example of what the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad can do for each and every one of us. If we submit our will to do the will of Allah and have faith in Allah, there's nothing that we can't get through. And the minister is a perfect example of that.
Yo, man, and that's the beauty of it, brother. And you take that spirit and that testimony that you gave just now and all throughout the actual interview, and include that in when you're teaching, brother. That's what it is. That is helping to bring the 40-50 million to the Lamb of God, where they get the opportunity to really know him. So we're coming up on the closing parts of this interview, which I thoroughly enjoyed, my brother. Were there something or any things you wanted to share that you didn't get an opportunity to share? Either you may have forgot or I didn't ask the question. If so, here's your opportunity.
I would say to the youth, you talked about the youth in the nation and where do you see us going? And you remember when I told you that the minister gave me my assignment and that's what my focus is? I'm not going to tell you exactly per se what it is, because the minister told me, he said, son, I never tell anybody what I'm about to do until it's too late for them to do anything about it. And so I'm not going to go into detail about what it is, but the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said one time, he said that these little titles that we have, he said they're nothing. He said Allah has come to put us over territories. He said there's a whole world that needs this life-saving teachings that we have to offer. And so to the other youth in the Nation of Islam that have this teaching, let's start to broaden our perspective, because the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is not a teaching just for Black people, but it's a universal teaching that all of our people have been deprived of. So I would say let's take our skills, let's take our talents, and let's put it to work and do everything that we do in the name of Allah. And if we do everything in the name of Allah, knowing that he is backing us, then we will not fail, and we will take, like we were promised, the victory. And I thank you, brother Willie. You don't know how humbled I am, man. Your little brother, to be able to be on this interview. I have a testimony. I mean, I was watching Brother Akbar's the other day, and just that interview, it was so awesome because the way he broke down Malcolm X, and when he said that what kept him around was him saying, no matter what you see anybody else do, no matter if you see them fall off, he said, you don't focus on them. He said, you focus on the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. So I would say in this day as well, no matter who we see fall off, somebody that you may be the minister of your mosque, the captain, you may see them fall off. Those aren't the people that you're following. You're following the messenger of God in our midst, which is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So that's what I'll say to us, because that's what kept one of our great pioneers, Brother Akbar, around, because he didn't focus on that man. He focused on the man that was sent and raised by God himself, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. So the modern day most honorable Elijah Muhammad is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So as long as we keep our eye on him and him alone, we can't go wrong.
Ooh, that was beautiful, brother. Beautiful, man. Beautiful, man. All praise due to Allah. Beautiful, man. I really enjoyed this interview, and I know others are going to enjoy it as well, man. May Allah continue to bless you in your endeavors, man, you and your family. And thank you for the service that you're providing for the Nation of Islam now and that's coming in the future as well. Assalamu alaikum.
Man, all praise due to Allah. Walaikum salam, sir.
Yes, sir. And for our guests who will tune in, thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate that you all continue to subscribe to the various social media handles of NNV News Network, right? That's here on YouTube, here on Facebook, here on Instagram and Twitter as well. So we thank you and we look forward to seeing you on next week with our next guest, inshallah. This is your brother Willie Muhammad with I Have a Testimony. Peace.
God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us.
He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.